Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. Welcome to another exciting episode of Digital Dada Podcast. And we are going to be having a series of episodes. And in this series, we are going to be featuring young women who have ventured into politics. Yes, knowing the political climate of this country, they are women and they are forced to be reckoned with. And we are going to be talking about so many things. One of them is how they've used the digital platform to enhance their agenda, how they have managed to combat cyberbullying. And this episode is in partnership with an organization called Siasa Ep3. Siasa Ep3 promotes the people's participation in democratic processes through research, trainings, civic education, networking, and strategic partnerships. Please look out for them on all social media platforms. They have amazing content, and also their website. They have very many resources, especially if you are someone who has political ambition. That would be your one-stop shop. So I'm going to allow my guest to introduce herself, and karibu sana to Digital Dada Podcast.
Auntie, it's so nice to meet you again. Well, my name is Nelly Chepkemoi Langat. I am a teacher of music and Kiswahili professionally, and I am a young leader hailing from Narok County, a place called Kilgore Central Ward. So we also welcome you to the great county of tourism as well. When you get some time, please.
Is it the county of champions? Or is what do you...
County of champions ni kule kwa kina president.
Ama ni wapi? So
Yes.
you said you're a teacher. So what motivated you to be into politics, from music to wanting to be a politician?
Well, before I even start, there's normally a joke that when you look at the political field in Kenya, most people come from the teaching industry.
Oh.
So teachers make the best politicians.
Wow, I didn't know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what really pushed me to politics now, coming from the teaching background, as a teacher, you get to really engage with students or children from really different backgrounds, diverse backgrounds. So you get to meet people who you're able to learn their culture. One, you're able to learn how to speak to them. You're able to learn how to literally engage with them. And this is a skill that really helps most teachers who come out here to be politicians, because you already know how to engage people. So it becomes easier for you to communicate. That's number one. Number two, and why I got to politics. So all through campus, I was interested in politics and governance. It has always been something that's passionate to me, although I didn't really know how to really get into the field. So most times I would critique the government back in campus. And so
Were you a student leader at one point?
No. I was never involved in the campus politics, although I was also somehow involved.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not really be on the stage where you get to see me, but behind the scenes, I would advise some of them, or rather most of them, on how they could maneuver and just go their way in reaching out to the campus students. So after campus, we had been holding community dialogues, which we used to call Skiza forums. So these Skiza forums, from the term Skiza, we come to listen. So when we come and meet with the youth and women specifically, they would air out their grievances, they would air out their concerns, and even possible solutions that they think could work out in enabling them have their issues sorted. So
is it like a baraza?
So it's like a baraza, yes, because sometimes as a young woman, you don't really have the resources to go book an hotel. So we'd just organize. Sometimes if we had partners and resources, we would do in a good place. But other times we just choose to even go in a school on a weekend. So we air out our issues, and that's because I had also been passionate about governance. So again, as a teacher, the aspect of teaching students so still comes in, even that followed me in politics. So I would pass information that I get out here to the people through the Skiza forums. Number one thing, we would also educate them on some civic engagement. So this civic engagement will let them know that when a new county government comes in, there's always a plan they have. So we tell them this plan is called a CIDP, the County Integrated Development Plan or Program. So we would tell the community members that this is what whenever you hear a county government coming and they are holding such forums, please never miss to go, because this is a forum that will determine the priority this government is coming in with in order to serve you, the boss. They are bosses now. So all through this, we would advise them, if you would not be able to really take part in it, then we are offering ourselves to go and air out your issues on your behalf. Hence, the voice of reasoning. Mm-hmm. So my push to join politics came from the people themselves. So they said to me that if you're able to really influence us on this level, so if you're able to now get at a position of influence, then you can really do things. And that is how my push to join for politics.
So there's so many snippets of things that contributed you to wanting to take part in this journey, because politics is a journey. Yes. So you vied last year's election. Mm-hmm. Tell us a bit about your experience. Tell us the positivity, because we want to be very positive, because there is the notion that politics, there's nothing positive. I actually refuse that, because in everything in life, there's always a good and a bad. Yeah. So tell us about your experience, and also what are some of the positive things, and also negative. Well, not negative per se, but the challenges and how you manage to counter them, or how you will try and counter them in the next election.
Right. So before I even get to that, what I normally tell people here, that you can never run away from politics, whether you're involved directly or indirectly. Because at the end of the day, politics influences how we are governed, and it also influences how we live. I mean, look at us now. We are complaining of the economy. It's coming down to politics. Mm-hmm. The politics of this economy started way back from the ballot.
Politics determines everything.
So if I may go first with the positives, as a young woman, I want to believe party politics plays a huge role once you join politics, because you have the backing of the party, you have the backing of the official leadership of the party. So one thing I will really appreciate is my political party, that is the ODM party. It's a platform that we as young women got, and we were offered a chance to be voices of reasoning of the table. And this I'm saying because from having engaged with the community, and I was also a member of the ODM party. So these party activities will still do it with the same people. So even getting to the political party and saying that I want to be nominated for this political ticket by your party. So I had already engaged myself in the party activity. So it really played a huge role when I was vying.
So the party is like a foundation.
It's, the same thing that happens in the political field. It's like a basis of what will happen at the ballot. So I had a huge support from the political leadership of ODM. And apart from that, we appreciate that they were able to even give us the space as a young person to compete with the older people up to the party primaries, because that is where I reached for my level. I didn't get to the ballot, but I reached the party primaries level. Another thing I would like to say is we appreciate the other organizations like Siasa Ep3, Media Focus on Africa, and other youth-serving organizations that were really helpful in my journey. I would partner with them, would ask them to be involved, and even the community dialogues, the Siasa forums that we had, would have some of them come and really pass the information on how we would, or rather the importance of having youthful and women engagement when it comes to leadership, because at the end of the day, we need seats and eyes at the table. So unless we have someone representing us, then our issues would never be addressed. And Number three, on the positive, is that we had some organizations that really came up to support women and young people, especially from the marginalized communities. Because, as I've said, I was vying in Narok, and this is a very patriarchal and cultural society for you to maneuver. So we had organizations like UN Women who were really supportive of us. So we would engage with them. They came in handy in support for resources, which I believe I'll talk about later. Thank you. When you look at the negative side now, I think this cuts across the political divide, whether you're in opposition or whether you're in government side. So one challenge that normally faces us a lot, and even I myself faced, was the challenge of resources. as a woman and as a young Kenyan, you grow up, or rather it's kind of a culture in our Kenyan politics, that the role of money really plays when it comes to politics. So while we appreciate the efforts that have been made by the political party registrar and even the political party's leadership, that we have the fee, or rather the nomination amounts cut for women and youth, we still feel it's a burden because you end up paying such amounts in phases, or rather you're introduced to new funding ways of you getting to the nomination level at a party. So we feel that money issues is still quite a problem to us, and I think it comes from the position of it's like a system in our Kenyan politics. So unless we really fight this thing of money, then we'll still have people come up, young women come up and still face the same challenge. Number two challenge that I faced for me was the issue of culture and retrogressive cultural practices coming from a Maasai community. It is a culture there for young women not to really address the older generation. So when you're a young woman trying to seek votes from the electorates, it becomes a challenge because this means you can only look for votes from the women and the younger people, the youth generation. So you getting to traverse the political field and getting to meet the male voters, it becomes a problem. Hence, giving a leeway for the opponents to
and for them giving privilege.
And that for that reason, you would get to forums and I would not really be able to address my constituents because of the culture issues.
But how do you beat that? Because I'm sure you're not the only one. Many people, especially people who are vying for positions outside Nairobi, and especially in the villages. What is one way that you did to beat that challenge? Because I'm sure a lot of people would want to know. Because that is a cultural issue. And
it's a cultural issue and it's still going on.
Embedded in our DNA.
You can never clear it just instantly.
So how did you manage?
What I did, or rather what I still manage that situation because I've not yet gotten out of the field. So there's this program that came up called Miss President.
Oh, yeah. I know Miss President.
So Miss President, I applied for Miss President and fortunately I got shortlisted up to this way the show came on TV. So once we got to the show and we had breaks of coming home and even after the show, we'd engage with these people and just tell them to kind of see, because Miss President was happening at the same time that was during the campaign time. So when we even go for shooting for Miss President, we'll let people know that, you see, it is through the leadership that I'm able to provide for this community that has brought me to this show, because one of the applications that really made me to be on the show is because of the community work I'm doing with them. And most of the forums that we had, you would have community engagement whereby I would ask them, do you feel women are important? And the men in the community there would say you women are good managers. So we would tell them, if you think a woman is a good manager back at home, then a woman can be a good manager in politics. A woman can offer alternative leadership. We are just saying that you make the best leaders, but a woman can still come in and offer an alternative way of leadership. Yeah.
So programs like it's called what Miss President should go on.
Yes.
Okay. Did you by any chance use the digital platform for purposes of the campaign? How was it, first of all? How powerful did you find the digital platform?
In a huge way, it really contributed positively for myself. So my friends, because we're just a group of people who had just cleared campus back in 2019, so we're a bit more vibrant and more youthful. And because we live in a digital world, so my friends, I used to have a Facebook profile. So what we did through also the same mentorship programs that I got enrolled in that were building capacity for us and the friends that I had. So we decided to use the digital space for our advantage. So we created a Facebook page, which I don't even operate it myself. So it's being operated by one of my friends. So he decided to just use this platform to air my messaging. And then through the digital space, we were able to come up with a tagline that has been used since then, and it's still being in use up to now. Out here, when you see me, you just know me by that tag, or rather by the youth clout that I use. So we came up with a tag that's called Aminia Dada. And this tagline came about from we had a mentorship session where by FIDA Kenya. So the campaign was Chagua Dada. It was encouraging the communities and Kenyans to choose a woman and believe in a woman. Number 2, coming from this Maasai community, Dada is a word that is used so much for the younger women in the Maasai community. So I decided in a way to relate to these people and let them know my capabilities as a young Dada. For them, Dada is a way of showing respect to a younger girl. So we decided to go with Aminia Dada. That's the tagline that is still being used for now. So we would use it in my campaigns that became known to people. So anytime anyone would use Aminia Dada, you just automatically know it's me.
So literally you got like a mark. When people hear the word Aminia Dada, they just think of
Yes.
you. So did you face any online gender-based violence? Because here at the Digital Dada, one thing we advocate for is safe spaces online. We advocate for healthy conversations online. However, we know that the online platform can be very brutal. It's a double-edged sword. It is good, but at the same time, it can be used against you. Did you face any online violence, and how did you handle that?
Well, I did, although it was not so severe as we would see on other women. Because one principle or one rule that for me I've always used is peace, number 1. Number 2 is the notion that, politics, you need to be aggressive, you need to be this violent person for you to be seen as an important, serious politician in Kenya. So I don't do that. I'm quite different. I decide to do it differently. I decide to feminize politics somehow. Where you come with me so violent, you find me calm, then eventually, automatically, you go down, because you can't come to me while you're so high up there and you get me, I'm peaceful. You automatically just come. So that is number 1 strategy I used. Number 2 is, as I've told you, the page that we came up with, I was not the one in control.
Oh, so someone else was running.
Yeah, I would actually just see the posts from my personal profile, but I would not really engage with the engagements of the page, because someone else was handling my page. And the one thing they did was they blocked some negative comments. So if you are
Very
spotted to be a more, let me say, if you are one person who was noted to be always commenting negatively, then you'd be blocked on my page. And then I'll just avoid reading the comments. But at the end of the day, we are still human. You just get a time when you are relaxed and just want to know what are these people saying today.
Yeah.
And then you go and read the comments and see. So for me, it used to be a comment that you're still this young lady who's being used by politicians, because people would see me on rallies. And then fortunately, again, when during the campaigns, I got to be offered a chance at the Azimio Secretariat. So anywhere Azimio would go, I would be there. And it comes with repercussions, both positive and negative. The positive is that you're offered a stage at the national platform for politics. And then on the negative side, people are attacking you with the normal notion that any woman who gets at a national level in politics, then you've gotten that space or that platform through other means. So that is what I was getting. But so I would say that was the one challenge I faced when it came to cyberbullying. Yes.
Okay. My next question will be on campaign strategy, especially a campaign strategy in the villages, where women, first of all, are deemed not supposed to be in politics. It's different in Nairobi, because when you see like my previous guest was here, she was encouraged by the community, go for it. So what was your campaign strategy in your context?
Okay. Now, being mtu wa mashinani.
Yes.
Number 1 is that you can never go to run for office mashinani when they are not used to you. You have to be well informed, or the people have to know you. So for me, I think I didn't face that challenge because I was not new to the people. So that is number 1 strategy I used against my opponents. I will always engage in these people in the community. Even right now, I'm back in Nairobi, but every weekend I'm in Narok. Every Saturday, come back on Monday to the city because of other engagements. So I was never new to the people. I'm still continuing to do my works with the people, even after the elections. I'm still going on with the community dialogues that we've had before elections, because now I believe through the dialogues, you're changing mindsets. So eventually, through having more of these dialogues, people's minds begin to open up. And I want to believe come 2027, when I'm now going for a higher position, then I want to believe these people would really support me. So now that's number one strategy. Number two strategy is I would I would ride on the party campaign
Popularity or
and
what?
party popularity. So Narok is normally deemed as the zone for ODM. So I'd ride, because I'm an ODM member, and it would be an advantage for me. Number three is I would ride on when the whole serving in the secretariat. So when we would move to a place, or rather we would come to Narok, then I would ride on that opportunity. So you find I won't use my resources, but the resources that the party, or rather the coalition, has come to use for that specific forum, then I would ride on it and eventually get a space to talk to the people, air out my agenda. And the another strategy was social media. I want to believe so my opponents were huge on English.
Oh.
Yeah. So I got to, because even the issues that I was trying to address in my manifesto came from the people. So from the engagements we normally have, as a leader, you cannot always be the only one offering solutions. You need to consult. Yes, you're there to offer solutions, advancement of the solutions, but these solutions really come from the people. So my agenda came from the people themselves, based on the priorities
that
they had. So one challenge, I mean not challenge, but rather an advantage for me, which was a strategy, that these agendas was coming from the people. So if I was going to address something as an MCA, because I was running for MCA, I already knew the mandate of an MCA. Again, that is an advantage through these capacity building trainings that were being offered to us. So you'd get an opponent comes and says, I want to build you a road, I want to do this, and you are an MCA, you are a legislator somehow. Your work as a legislator is not to build road. It's instead to go and make laws that will ensure this road is reaching the people. So I think that for me was an advantage through the capacity building sessions that I was able to go through.
Okay. Yeah. And did you get any support or mentorship to be where you are? Not necessarily from your party, but even back at home. Tell us a bit about support and mentorship that you encountered.
So I've been mentored by two great ladies. So apart from that, now let me start with the family aspect. I think I come from a political family, although this is being traced to my grandfather. So he used to be a very political person, and unfortunately didn't follow anyone, but he followed me. So I would only be the only one who would be interested in politics. Right from when I was young, I would be interested to watch news when others are interested to watch cartoons. So that is number one.
That
so
reminds me of a certain leader. I don't want to mention the name. Like when they were growing up, during lunch break, he would sneak out of school to go and listen to news.
I started criticizing the news and politics from way back. So this, I think my father just eventually came and noted it. And he still encouraged me. So when I even told him I'm going to join politics, he told me it didn't come as a surprise.
He was not sure.
He was just not so sure when I would say, but it didn't come as a surprise to him. So he really played a huge role in advising me and also just encouraging me to fight for it. Number two is from friends. Friends really supported my political journey. And now back to the mentors. Before I even decided to run for office, so I serve at an CBO that really engages the community through dialogues again. That's based in Kisumu. So we did these CBOs initiatives again in Narok, where we would engage the people. So this was even before 2022. And I had a mentor, the late Honorable Aboso. I'm originally from Bomet again. So back then in Jubilee, when I was finishing campus, That was when Laboso was still alive and she was serving for her second term as governor. So just through the community dialogues we held in Bomet sometime, we met her, we invited her, she came, she heard about us, and then she wanted to work with us. So eventually she became my mentor in politics. Unfortunately, we lost her. God rest her soul in peace. But I also found a mentor in ODM. She's now serving her 4th term as an MP. And she's called Dr. Lillian Gogo. Mm-hmm. So she's even the one person who really advises me and tells me, this, you're going wrong here. Sometimes rudi chini kidogo. Sometimes you need to go this way. And even during the politics, in the campaigns time, she would really hold my hand in the party. Because again, when it comes to party politics in Kenya, it's normally very hard as a new person or as a young woman.
That's something that has been coming up even from my previous guest, that party politics, so that we know that party politics can be quite instrumental.
Yeah.
So what are your future plans?
What
is your vision 2027?
Okay. And now I have an eye problem. So
sorry.
The lights are quite too strong for me. So my plan for 2027, I think I already started working on it. I'm working on it now because I still believe that when you're placed at a leadership position, you're rather at a position of influence where you can influence change for the people. And as a young change maker that I'm looking to be, I want to believe that the position I'm eyeing now will really come in handy in influencing what I would want to see change in our country and even where I want to buy. So mimi ni mtu wa mashinani, I'm still going back home, and I'll be looking, or rather I'm looking to go for an MP position because I want to believe at the National Assembly is where you really can air out grievances for the people as representatives of people. So my plans for 2027 is to go for an MP position, to be able to influence the laws that we have in this country, and even to serve humanity from a point of influence.
I like that, Mheshimiwa. So we are waiting for you. It will be the 12th Parliament or the 13th?
The 14th.
The 14th?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So what are some of the recommendations that you would give from your experience? Like what are some of the things that you would advise people to do differently? And what are some of the things that you would actually want to keep the same way? Okay. I like what you said about starting early, the same way my previous guest said. Some of the recommendations that you would give.
So number one, I think I would just make it as a rallying call to my fellow youths and and even women, that to really come out and offer themselves for these leadership positions. Because even during the sessions that we normally have with the community, sometimes they say you ladies shy away from get into this position. So it's just like a rallying call and even a recommendation or a proposal just to the young people of Kenya and the women of Kenya. This field is for all of us. We keep talking of gender equality each and every time. But unless we really take part in this, then we will always keep complaining and keep saying that we are marginalized. We need to take up these spaces. Number two is just as I started when we were starting this thing, politics influences how we live and how we are governed. So if we cannot also take part in this politics and really take note of it, then I want to believe we would have our livelihoods legislated out of existence, because no one would really be there to air your issues. So unless we have someone at the table who relates and represents us, the women and the youth, then it's never going to be possible. My number two recommendation is to really a call to our national leaders, those who've been there, to offer upcoming women and young Kenyans a platform and even an opportunity to address. So when a young leader comes up to you and says she or he looks up to you and would want to be like you and get in the political field, let us be mentors. I want to believe I'm a product of mentorship. So I want to see like a culture where you have elected leaders and even unelected leaders who have been there before, holding the hands of other fellow women and young Kenyans. Number 3 is to the government, because they also have a role to play in this. So right now we are in a political environment where there's dialogues going on. I don't think in this life we can ever run away from dialogues, because dialogues at the end of the day solve our issues. So the government and even the opposition, through the dialogue that has happened, has come up with or rather one of the things that are being discussed on the dialogue table is issues to do with gender equality, issues to do with how as Kenya we can achieve the gender threshold that we are yet to achieve 13 years later after the constitution was introduced for us to achieve this.
Do you think it's possible for it to be achieved?
Yes, it's possible, but it needs a collective responsibility from the citizens, from the government, and from individuals. That's why I'm saying the citizens. And I said by starting that the government has a role to play. So I want to appreciate both factions of the political divide, the government and the oppositions, through the dialogue, that they've been able to see that this is an issue we should solve at the moment if we are really serious about it. So one of the information that is there on the dialogue issues is the 2/3 gender role. So, and by this, the government, or rather the dialogue, is proposing coming up with a political fund for women who would want to venture in politics. So this amount that the government wires through the treasury to political parties, let us have an amount specifically from this amount that will be able to support women candidates and even youths. Because once you do this, then you'll be solving the issue of us saying women have no money. We can't be in this field because of money. So here we have like a kitty that can help you run your campaigns. Then this will eventually increase the number of women getting to leadership positions.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. As we say, one of the major things that keeps women out of this field is finances.
Yes.
So if there's a kitty that can help them during the campaign process, it would be such a great resource. So what are your final thoughts?
I think my final thoughts would be, we appreciate people like you as well who get to call us and talk about our stories, because we grew from our stories. Mm-hmm. People learn from our stories. Each and every day you go and tell your stories, you learn a thing or two. So my parting shot would be, I appreciate of organizations like Siasa Ep3 and yourself who keep championing for us. You know, for us, we champion for the political field, but it cuts across. If you're really to solve the issue of 2/3 gender, it doesn't really apply in the political field. It also applies in the digital space and also the other sectors as well. So it doesn't really mean that when you solve the issue of gender equality and 2/3 gender, we're involving all people, even the men. We have the he for she champions who are men. So we'd really like to commend them. And whenever you have someone who wants to run for office and you're able to be in a position to encourage this person, I know we talk about money being an issue in politics or as a resource, but there's also the human capital resource. You need people in politics, whether they are the voters. So I know we need the voters, because without them, you not have this position. But you also need other support from the people, which I'm calling the human capital. So most times we tend to really focus a lot on the money aspect, forgetting the human capital that comes in handy when it comes to politics. So my last parting shot, because politicians who are tumalizi kuongea, might talk to education. So would just be to really call on the women and the youth of Kenya to come up and offer themselves to these leadership positions, because I want to believe you have the power and you have the ability and tenacity to offer alternative leadership in our country.
So what I'm hearing you say is we all have a collective responsibility.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on this show. Thank you so much to Siasa Ep3 for making this possible. And I would not emphasize this enough. Please be like take part in the activities, because I know they have a lot of activities, especially when it is coming to the election time, and it will be very instrumental for someone like you who knows the kind of work that they do. So thank you so much. Again, I would want to say this episode has been made possible by partnership with Siasa Place. Siasa Place promotes the people's participation in democratic processes through research, trainings, civic education, networking, and strategic partnership. Check out their work on all their social media handles, and also their website is a one-stop shop for anyone who has an interest in politics. You will get to learn so much. So thank you so much, and see you on the next episode.